Taylor Ellwood here, and welcome to the Magical Experiments podcast. And today I'm going to be talking about how to create your own system of cosmological magic. Now, one moment here while I just go ahead. So, when we are developing a system of magic, the system of magic is really a description of how magic works and how we think it ought to work. And this is really important because a cosmological system of magic is describing the overall cosmology behind how your magic works. And one of the things that I've done is I've developed a cosmological system for myself because I've recognized that a personalized system of magic is much more effective than continually working off of someone else's system of magic. Now, there's something to be said for traditions of magic, and those can be really powerful and significant in their own right. And there is something about having a lineage to draw on. But even in that particular case, you're still going to end up personalizing aspects of that magical tradition. And in my case, I belong to several different magical traditions. And what I've nonetheless done is I've taken pieces of those magical traditions and I've applied them to my overall magical work. And I've created a larger scale cosmological system that encapsulates the way that I practice magic overall. And the benefit of doing this is it allows me to connect multiple systems of magic together in order to create a unified system that allows me to get results. Now, you're going to hold up here for a second here. And so now, the important thing with that is that when we're creating a cosmological system of magic, we want to figure out a medium for doing it. In my books, Magic by Design, I talk about how to create practical magical workings to get results. And in Pop Culture Magic Systems, I describe some of the key concepts here that I'm discussing here, but I've taken it a lot further since then. What I'm going to share with you now is a painting that I've done. And this painting is, you might recognize it. It's like, oh, hey, he's kind of drawing upon the Kabbalistic tree of life. And it's true that I am. But it's meant to represent a lot more than that. It has planetary and angelic correspondences as well as elemental correspondences. And you'd expect that with the tree of life. But then on the back, I'm going to be refining this further. I'm going to be putting some spirits on here. I've already drawn upon the eclipse energy recently and some of the underworld energy as well. And that's kind of back here. And so it's going to be a two-sided painting. Of this painting is that it essentially serves as a symbolic focus for the overall system of magic that I'm working with. And it's a system of magic that is, as a cosmology, it describes the spiritual forces that I'm working with, but it also describes the overarching branches of magic that I'm particularly working with at this time of my life. You can even think of a cosmological system like this as a snapshot of where you are as a magician. And I recommend taking such an approach, taking time to kind of create a meta narrative, if you will, around your magic, because I think it can be a really powerful way to understand and practice your magic. Now, if this is something that you want help with, one of the things that I'll recommend is that you can click on the link below in the show notes here and contact me for a consultation, because I do work with people to help them create systems of magic as well as unique magical workings. You could also check out my books that I mentioned. Now, getting back to the topic at hand, what I'm doing is I am attributing like the planetary magic, the spirit magic, so demonic spirits, elemental spirits, archangels, some nature spirits, as well as some pop culture spirits. All that's going to go into this painting, and so it's going to be a painting that basically has multiple layers encapsulated in it, and it's something that will instantly call that out as needed to represent those forces. It'll help to create a very specific space, and anyone who's been following me for a while knows that I've been working with R.J. Stewart's Sphere of Art. This is like the next level of that sphere of art work for me. and I'm likely taking you in a direction that he wouldn't, and that's okay. Again, this is where it's important to recognize, like, when we have a specific system of magic that we're practicing, that we are taking it and making it our own. There are lots of different systems of magic that I've learned over the years, and lots of other non-occult disciplines that I've blended in to my magical work, and I've been able to take all of them and bring them in together and create an overarching system that makes sense for me. Now, your system of magic might be different than mine. In fact, it more than likely will. And this is kind of the beauty of magic, is that we personalize a lot of our magical work. And it's one of the things that I don't see talked about as much as it should be, because a lot of times what we're given a lot of books out there that kind of say, well, this is how you practice magic. This is how you do this work. This is the way you do these things. And if anyone changes it at all, it's kind of seen as kind of like, well, you're going against this specific current. But I disagree with that. I think that if we are truly learning how to work with magic, we have to be willing to step beyond the specific narratives that tell us how magic works that other people have provided to us. And that's really what my work as a magical experimenter is all about. It's about creating a viable system of magic that is personalized to the person and makes sense to that person. And in all fairness, there are a lot of people out there that do this in one form or another. But I also tend to see a tendency to not really question the books, not really question the teachings. Now, anyone who's read my books will know that, in fact, one of the things that I've always said is read my books and make it your own. And so this is an extension of that same principle, because I've taken, like, my space-time magic approach, and what I've done is as it's continuing to evolve, I'm wrapping it into this overarching cosmological system, and I'm linking it back to what I'll call my underworld work or inner alchemical work, because I kind of see underworld work as very much being a inner alchemical process at work. And I've wrapped all that into elemental magic and into the elements that are outside the typical 5 elements, the ones that I've come up with on my own or that I've connected with over the years, such as emptiness and love and things like that. And so I've taken those elements and I've wrapped that into the system as well. And I'm taking the work that I'm doing with the Goetia and wrapping that in. And then, of course, the work that I'm planning on doing with the angelic spirits, I'm kind of creating a very an open door for that as well, because to me, this makes sense. This is like a lot of very in-depth work, as we take these different layers of magic that we work and we pack them in together. And I'm taking in my Qigong and Kung Fu practice as well. And so you might say, well, that's great, Taylor, but why would I want to even do all that? And the answer to that is, when we treat our magical practice as like separate silos and we don't connect them together, it makes it actually really hard to get really consistent and better results with our magic. So someone who says, well, like, okay, I have a background, in folk magic, and then I also do some ceremonial magic, and I do some other things, but never do these things mix. My response to them would be, well, it's time to get imaginative and find a way to make them mix, because there's no reason that they shouldn't mix together. There may not be a perfect fit, but that's where you adjust and adapt and develop your own experimental style in order to make it work. So instead of treating a given system of magic as sacrosanct and treating it as something that can never, ever be changed, let's change it. Let's move it around. Let's transform it. Let's try something different with it. And this is why it is good to learn a multidisciplinary approach to magic, where we're actually drawing upon various magical traditions and systems, and we're also drawing upon other disciplines that are relevant to our spiritual work. Like, for example, when I've drawn upon the work of Christopher Alexander, who is a architect, You might say, well, what does architectural design have to do with magic? And I would say it has everything to do with magic if you look at it, because it's really about not just about the design of a building, it's about the design of flow in that building. It's about the design of how people interact and move and navigate that building. And there are very magical aspects of that. So we just have to be willing to look outside the box and see what that looks like. Now, developing a personal cosmology does require some level of experience. I mean, if you're just practicing magic for, like, in your first year or your second year of practicing magic, you're not ready yet. And I'm not saying that to put you down or change anything about what you're doing. I mean, hey, you're where you're at, and that's good, and honor and acknowledge that. But you're very much in a process where you're still learning the foundational building blocks of magic, and that's okay. But if you have, we'll say 5 years under your belt, that's when you can start to put these blocks, you can start to put these different systems of magic together. Now, I'll level with you, you'll still probably be practicing a while longer before you really get good at it. And that's just because there's a level of experience that's required, and a level of having gone through and done some workings in different systems, and then finding a way to combine them and create a unified system. It takes time to figure that out. But it is absolutely a good idea to take that kind of work and apply it in a way that is meaningful and powerful for you. So if you're someone watching this video and you're kind of like, I'd like to learn more about this, I'd say, click on the link that I have in the show notes, and come visit my site. Come contact me. I'm more than willing to work with you if that's something you want to work on. And otherwise, if you're just kind of like noodling it, well, sit with this video for a little while, write down some notes, and think about your experiences and how you would create a unified system that encapsulates those experiences and the different types of magic that you practice into a unified system that makes sense for you, and helps you to take all those disparate experiences and turn them into momentum to help you get better results. I look forward to hearing from you as to what you end up doing, and thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend.